Welcome back to Dead Space. If you haven't watched the previous two videos, I have good news for you. You don't have to. I really didn't like how the previous two videos turned out, so instead of just playing and talking to a wall, I'm actually going to be going over the entire game in 2 sittings. I've never done something like this. I don't have a plan, but I do have a concept of a plan, and those plans will be great. The game starts with us having been glued to our seat with industrial strength superglue, the same glue they used to keep Cybertrucks and SpaceX rockets together. Very strong, not letting you go anytime soon. The name is Isaac Clarke, but his friends call him Dead Space Guy. We're on a ship flying to a prison colony for reasons that Dead Space Guy didn't really pay attention to. All we know is that our shoddy is here, and we need to go into the bowels of hell to rescue our fine shit. All of a sudden, the ship's AI detects a woman within 3 meters of the pilot's chair and instantly starts malfunctioning out of fear for its own well-being. We crash into the colony, but luckily for us, our industrial strength SpaceX superglue keeps us safe. Thank you, Elon, for keeping my ass cheeks together. We suit up, receive the stank eye from our fellow crewmates despite literally not doing anything, and we are now in the game. We venture into the colony, and we find a locked door where we split up to find a way through. This was a bad idea, because as soon as we left the vicinity of these characters, they no longer have our shared plot armor, which was the only thing keeping them alive. Fortunately, the aliens avoid killing the minorities, as they are very well versed with the injustices of today's society. Hashtag BLM, hashtag not all necromorphs. After running away like the little bitch that we are, we find a dead soldier. His apparent cause of death was blood loss after using his blood to write a helpful tip on the wall. This decision was most likely caused due to anxiety or something, because it's not like the space station didn't have pencils. He could have just written it down and he'd probably still have the majority of his blood left. We illegally repossess his firearm and keep moving. We find our fellow crewmates chilling at a train station. Unfortunately for any fellow autistic people watching, these trains aren't currently operational, as they require a puzzle to be solved in order to make them work. Video game logic. So we set off and face quite a few attempted jump scares by enemies who must know instant transmission, because there's no other way that they could keep appearing behind me like this. We repair the tram, and on our way back, we run into a new type of necromorph that thinks they're foxes from FNAF. You will never be the GOAT. We don't fall for this zombie that is obviously faking being dead, because if it was truly dead, then its limbs would be separated from its body, because I shot them off. But this one still has its limbs, so I reason it must be faking. And I'm right. With the tram repaired, our friends Kendra and Hammond set off back to the ship. When we get back to the ship, the AI decides that it doesn't want to do this no more, and blows up. Even worse, there aren't any women around to make a joke about bad automobile operation. Fuck. Kendra tells us that now our ship is totaled and we didn't have insurance. Since we didn't buy State Farm, we have no choice but to try and find the captain. Fortunately for us, he is fucking dead, so he shouldn't be that hard to find. We're tasked to find the executive codes to the ship so we can, fly it or something. I have no other choice than to go back into the colony, and along the way I found a bathroom. The men and women who wrote these messages in blood must have been taking the meanest shits ever undertaken by mankind, because their handwriting is somehow worse than mine. We continue on to this vending machine that sells guns and ammo. This is because no matter how difficult times are, capitalism persists. God bless America. At least that's more than I can say for communism. We then get on the tram that we fixed and get shown to the next chapter, which is a game mechanic they shamelessly stole from Splatoon 2's Octo Expansion DLC made a decade later. Immediately after getting off the train, we see a woman lying next to a corpse. As a person who lives in Boston, Massachusetts, I can confirm that this is perfectly normal and nothing to be worried about. She has a bandage on her head covering one of her eyes, and she uses her dying breath to hand us a kinesis module. She could have used it to say, "Tell my family I love them," but she was speaking too low for me to really hear, and if I'm being honest, I don't really care. We continue forward and are informed by Big Man, aka Hammond, that Kendra is missing. After completing a puzzle and pelting the necromorphs with styrofoam legumes for a few minutes, we stumble upon our first zero-gravity section. We have to go through this zero-G therapy room and slap 2 battery packs into these holes, no homo, in order to gain access to this broom closet, to get a thermite and a shock pad for the bomb. This seems like a very poor choice for a place to store your brooms, but we grab what we need and continue on, while listening to Big Man over Discord getting stalked by a necromorph. The amount of time he has left to live has hit the double digits by this point, I'm sure. During this chapter, it becomes apparent to us that the appearance of these aliens is the result of someone having the grand idea to crack open the planet, as we saw during the intro cutscene. Apparently this is a common thing in the Dead Space universe, cracking open planets for resources and such. A more sensitive person may note that the necromorph invasion could be seen as karma for us literally breaking their homeworld in half like an egg. Not me though, these fuckers deserve nothing but pain. We enter a room where a man is choking on some miscellaneous fluid. I swiftly put my Canadian medical degree to work and end his suffering. After getting treated as fine dining by a swarm of whatever the fuck these bugs are, I make it back to the save point and learn that apparently both guns I have alternate firing modes. This would have been very helpful to know approximately 1 hour ago when I started the game. We make it into this new room that's way bigger, but I correctly predict that this is a place where I'll be forced to fight enemies. Despite this, I die anyway, but I clutch the run back. We make it to a weird lab looking room with a green hue. I can tell it's a lab because the green color is the one everyone uses for their science homework. Red is math, blue is vocabulary, green is science, and history is yellow. This is not up for debate. We try to save this man who is begging us to open the door, but unfortunately my plot armor does not have the ability to permeate solid glass, so he dies. We are able to avenge him by kicking the necromorph that killed him like a field goal. We trek onward through the main lab. Big man calls to tell us that his life hasn't run out yet. Good for him, I guess. More hallways, utilizing our First Amendment rights to beat the living shit out of any aliens in our way, and finally we make it to the security station, and after saving our progress and continuing on, we receive a recording from Fine Shit.
Would you still love me if I was a worm?
Moving on, we get to the intensive care room, where a woman decides that she doesn't want to do this no more, and cuts the throat of both herself and her patient. This is what we call in the biz, a woman moment. And yes, I do just say that randomly, regardless of what they're actually doing, thank you very much. We find an elevator which gives us a nice and smooth ride down to the morgue, but once we get down there, a very rude necromorph vores the captain's body and turns him into a black man. After dying once because I didn't know there was a second zombie hiding and acting as his mercy pocket, I channel the spirits of my role models King Von and Derek Chauvin to give me the strength in putting this nigga down. Unfortunately, I get snipped in half by the second one I encounter in the next room because I briefly forget how video game hitboxes work. Finally, we can take a breather. Or not, because Big Man hits us up on TeamSpeak, forcing us to create another account for a service that we'll probably never use again. Big Man calls us up to let us know something that we never would have been able to guess based on the name of the game. Apparently these things are aliens, and they only showed up when we cracked open the planet. He also adds that our planetary orbit is slowing down and we're going to die in a giant fireball if he doesn't figure out how to fix it. I have next to zero faith in him. Upon getting out of this tram, I get hit with a massive wave of dementia. Almost as if I haven't played this game in 3 fucking months, and have completely forgotten the controls, and I don't even get a second to remember them before Big Man sees that my profile is online, and hits me up again, this time on WhatsApp. Big Man wants to tell us that we have fuel, but it's not in the engines for some reason, so we'll need to fix that. He also wants us to fix the gravitational centrifuge for some reason that probably has plot significance that I completely forgot. We head down a shadowy metal mesh staircase, and the game tries to jump scare us with a dead, quote-unquote, necromorph. Fortunately, as a necrophiliac, I'm able to use the flaccidity of my penis like a metal detector to expertly determine that it's still alive, and murk it accordingly. We find and board a gondola, but I forgot to grab health and shield, and I'm low on mats, so unfortunately I'm not able to clutch the 1v3. After redoing this segment, we find and pull these 2 levers, which gives us a fuel reading. This is good, because it means we might not burn to death in a flaming fireball. We head back in the direction of the tram station in order to head to the gravitational centrifuge. On our way back, we have to head through a decontamination chamber, which is the perfect time for some necromorphs to jump us and take all of our lunch money. Upon making it to the gravitational centrifuge, I thought that I had fucked up. I didn't have enough charge in the stasis meter to stop these things from rotating, and I didn't have enough brain cells to remember that I had a stasis recharger in my inventory. Despite this, I'm able to go further beyond and somehow manage to get the centrifuge working again. This is a huge W for people who enjoy walking on solid ground. We expertly dodge these spinning metal blade things that I definitely didn't get diced like an onion by, even once. We make it to the next airlock, and after walking through some more dark and spooky corridors, we get grabbed by the foot and pulled by Drake Snake into Bill Cosby's rape dungeon. But on the second try, I remember to keep an eye on my drink, and we were able to make Drake bust before he could pull us in. As we hop in the elevator on our way back to the tram station, Kendra finally manages to create a WhatsApp account and join us in the conversation once more. She continues to explain that even before cracking open the planet, the crew was experiencing level 5 brain rot symptoms. These symptoms were allegedly linked to an artifact called the Marker that was salvaged from the planet. In other news, the engines aren't working, so we need to give them a kick so that we don't all burn to death. Nothing really eventful happens on our way to the engines aside from this weird, disgustingly fleshy stuff growing all over the walls. We make it to the engines room, hit the computer with a wrench, and have approximately 5 seconds to relish in our victory before Big Man wants us to download Skype of all fucking apps. After downloading yet another messaging app, Kendra tells us that even though we've restabilized the ship's orbit, we'll be going through an asteroid field on our way back up, courtesy of us blowing up the planet. If we don't have a defense system, we won't burn, but we'll either blow up or be sucked into space. I personally think that would be preferable to using Skype for even a single second. On our way to the bridge, I guess. Big Man calls us again to confirm our worst fears. The ADS, Asteroid Defense System, is napping on the job, so we need to go and splash cold water on its face. Kendra starts yapping about how dishonest it was for Big Man not to tell us how close we were to an artifact that gives us brain rot simply by being near it. But Big Man uses the "shut up, you're literally a woman" argument, and she has no choice but to bow to his Sigma authority. We meet up with Big Man down on the bridge. He tells us that the ADS now has power and we'll need to reroute it through 3 electrical box thingies to turn it on. But on our way to activate the elevator, we are greeted with a new necromorph, one that's basically impregnable from the front. There go my weekend plans. We use our expert strafing skills to slowly walk around it and circumcise our enemy. Unfortunately, he dies due to slight medical complications completely out of our control. We take the elevator down to level 1 and hop out, and after going Doomslayer mode onto more necromorphs, I demonstrate once again that humans do not deserve to be at the top of the food chain by walking directly into an air current that killed a necromorph 5 seconds earlier. After redoing the section, we reach the most daunting enemy that we have faced so far, the name of which causes every man to instantly shit his pants. The enemy that I had to expel blood, sweat, and tears to get past. The Room of Infinite Lost Frames. After entering this room even once, even after walking out of it, the game still would not work correctly. Even worse, one of these fuckers spawned in the room, so even while trying my hardest to fight through the lag, I was left with no choice but to trudge back to the save point and turn down the graphics, after which the Room of Infinite Lost Frames was finally bested by my integrated graphics card. I can't do this anymore, please subscribe. We weave past some haywire electrical cables and successfully have rerouted the power. After losing my train of thought and taking the elevator twice just for fun, I upgraded my suit so that I wouldn't be folded in a single kick to the nuts. Now, I'm pretty sure it would take 2. This unfortunately does not stop me from dying instantly upon trying to run into the mining admin room like a retard. We clear out the room and reroute power through the substation as well. Unfortunately, the cannon is still not working because I don't even know at this point, man. Big Man tells us that we need to head up there and shoot the asteroids manually so we don't get annihilated on our way up. He would not be asking me to do this if he saw my average FPS accuracy, but ignorance is bliss, I guess. While trudging out of the ship, I yet again show that I would not last 5 seconds in this place by getting minced by some debris. We trudge to the main ADS and unleash hellfire on all of the non-sentient debris that dares to exist on my screen while I'm sitting in this chair. Big Man manages to activate the aimbot, and now we're free to head back and celebrate our victory. Except no, not if Kendra has anything to say about it, and she does, because apparently this moldy fleshy stuff is transforming the atmosphere of the ship. This is a big problem for those of us who enjoy breathing. To the train station we go. Anyways, that was the first 4 chapters of the game. I'll be doing the next 4 chapters pretty much as soon as I upload this one, and yeah, that's all. See ya.
I was just a kid in the suburbs doing alright. Then I became a young nigga overnight. When I catch low it's gonna be on site. 4.5s and ARDs. Up in the trenches with my new family. And a gang that's built on loyalty.